Triple H's road to redemption continues, and let the praise cycle go on. It's now time for the hashtag Hearst Q&A, the second book in the 3 books of God. And this will cover, like I said, basically his time from DX to Evolution, and all points in between. So let's get started. Oh, one thing. If by now you don't understand why myself or so many others call Triple H God, then you never will. If you don't understand why I'm doing this Q&A series about Triple H, then you never will. So I'm not going to try and explain it. I'm sorry. It's just the way it's going to go. But what I do want to do is answer a whole shit ton of your questions about Triple H right frickin' now. At WWE Galaxy has a lie question for us right off the top. So let's get going. Why does Triple H bury superstars and barely push stars? These are lies, propaganda perpetrated by a pro-WCW, ECW, TNA, anti-WWE multimedia machine that has infiltrated the internet and filled your head with these insipid little lies. And all of us with insipid little lies trying to brainwash us and make us believe that Triple H buries people and he doesn't help push people. Ask Sheamus how that worked out for him. Ask Batista how that worked out for him. Just think about that. Ask John Cena how that worked out for him. Triple H has helped make stars. And he's helped push other people. Oh, thank you. Don't believe the pro-WCW, ECW, TNA, ROH, whatever the hell, multimedia bias that is insipidly infiltrated the internet to brainwash you. Please do not. At Taylor Johanny, was Triple H a main eventer during the Attitude Era or a dance partner? He was a dance partner. That was a main eventer. He was a top guy during that time. No question. He might not have been Austin or The Rock, but was he a main eventer? Yeah. Did he hold the world title on more than one occasion during that time? Yeah. Was he a big star during that time? Yeah. He might not have been the 1 or 2 guy, but he was still a main eventer. He's just a main eventer that was a dance partner. At D_Rizzle, if HBK had been around through the Attitude Era, would that have delayed Triple H's rise to the top? If no, why? If Triple H and Shawn would have still had DX post WrestleMania 14, you would anticipate that they would have had some type of program that would have kicked off really around SummerSlam 98 and maybe ended at Survivor Series. So you could argue potentially that if Shawn Michaels had stuck around after WrestleMania 14, didn't have the back injury, and they would have, what you would have envisioned would have been the natural progression of things, you would have gotten a Triple H Shawn Michaels feud in the summer, fall of 98. You could argue that Triple H would have been a main event player even quicker, perhaps. Just throwing it out there. At W. Rain Foster has a couple of questions for me. If WCW would have let Hunter and DX in the building, would that have made a huge impact on WCW? At least for that fucking night. When they sent DX down there with the freaking tanks, just imagine, they talk about this in the DVDs and also the crap. Just think about that. Imagine the possibilities. Even WWF wouldn't have had an answer. They would have armed WCW with some phenomenal ammo. Fucking DX is here. This is as real as it gets. That would have been the height and epitome of the wild, unpredictable nature of the Attitude Era, and in particular the Monday Night Wars time frame. That would have been outstanding television. To me, I'd let DX come in there, I'd greet him with open arms, and I'd build the entire 3-hour fucking show around them. Hell yeah. One of the dumbest things WCW ever did. I understand why they didn't let him in the building, but hindsight is 20/20. It's easy to be a Monday morning armchair quarterback. But the bottom line was, it was a mistake not to let him in the building. Do you think a Evolution storyline would work out in today's WWE like it did in 2004? Absolutely. If you did an Evolution 2.0 and you had Triple H playing the Flair role, and you had either Cena or Orton maybe, or Punk in that Triple H type role, and you had 2 young lions, let's say you threw in there a Sheamus, and then maybe somebody like a Damian Sandow, just giving you some examples there. Imagine a faction with Triple H as the veteran, the guy that makes everybody else go. He is the respected name. And you stick an Orton or Cena with him, or a Punk with him, one of those 3. You put a Sheamus with him, a Damian Sandow with him. That's a fucking faction that, to me, rivals what you had with the original Evolution. It would be huge. Come on, the internet would be going, it's the greatest thing ever. And you know what I would be doing? It's the greatest thing ever. Period. What was your guys' reaction? And by guys, you mean me. The night Test and Stephanie were to be married, only to have Triple H show that video of him and Steph getting married. Still one of my favorite Triple H moments of all time. One of my favorite Attitude Era moments. One of my favorite Raw moments of all time. Truly a swerve and a great surprise. And really, truly was the ultimate launching point to really making Triple H truly a top guy. You know, even if you want to call him a dance partner, main eventer. Bottom line is, that really helped make him. If you wanted to make somebody during the Attitude Era, how did you do it? You involved him with Vince in some way, shape, or form. That's why Vince is, to me, arguably the greatest heel of all time. And you could argue also the greatest star in the history of the wrestling business, even surpassing a Hogan or an Austin or the like. At Chaz Comiskey, how excited were you at the time about Triple H's return on Raw at Madison Square Garden in January of 2002 before the Royal Rumble? Very excited. You know, it sucked, his quad injury. And the fact that he was able to come back relatively quickly, so to speak, from that type of injury, and you know that he was coming back, it seemed kind of forced though, because you were bringing him back. You knew he was going to probably win the Rumble, but I was very excited at that time when he returned, no question. At Bad or Sub, what are your thoughts on God burying Kevin Nash at Bad Blood Hell in a Cell in 2003? Again, stay away from that pro WCW, TNA, ECW, ROH, multimedia infiltrating insipid media bias. It's not true. Sure, back at that time in 2003, I wanted to see anybody end the reign of God. Foolish me. And, you know, I was behind Kevin Nash, no question about it. But looking back at it, Kevin Nash can tear his quad doing anything. At least Triple H usually tears his quad in a match, so I'd rather have the belt on Triple H than Kevin Nash. I'm just saying. And that was still a good program, a good storyline. At Ass Geek, where do you think God would be in the WWE if he never married Stephanie McMahon? He'd still be a top guy. He probably still would have been booked very, very strongly post-Austin and Rock because they knew he wasn't going anywhere. You know, even if he wasn't married to the boss, getting married to the boss's daughter, or wasn't married to the boss's daughter, you knew he loved the business. You knew he wasn't going to want to ultimately do anything else full time. That it was in his blood, that he had a passion for it, and you knew that he loved the company, he loved the art form. So he would still have been booked in a very, very strong way and been at the top for a number of years. So I don't think you could make some arguments about what Triple H being married to Stephanie has meant for him in recent years, but to say that he wouldn't have been a top guy or whatever in WWE, he wouldn't have been if he didn't marry Stephanie, I think is bullshit. At Caleb is God, what's your favorite Evolution moment? What group did you like better, Evolution or DX? I like DX better because to me at times, Evolution was kind of really forced down your throat. You did have the reign of terror, as I used to call it, the reign of God as World Heavyweight Champion that seemed like it was never going to freaking end. But you had a faction where everybody had belts at one point in time, and that was good. And you had some big names in there, including some future stars like Orton and especially Batista. I liked the group of DX better because I just felt it was more entertaining, both the first version and incarnation of it, the kind of second incarnation with Triple H as the leader, then the one with just him and Shawn in 2006. As far as my favorite Evolution moment, probably the slow tease of the split between Batista and Triple H. I don't know if I single out a specific moment, but I love the way that split was done. I really do. And the way that turned into a really nice piece of business and a nice feud in 2005. At Volpa Milk, what was the point to have Jeff Hardy beat God for the IC title, then lose it 3 days later on Raw? There was no fucking point, period. At Disco Ben, which DX run was the best? I know most people view it in 3 incarnations, and I don't really like to count the PG version of it, minus the Little People's Court. I go with what I think are the 3 incarnations. The one with Shawn as the leader, the one with Hunter as the leader, post-WrestleMania 14, and then the third one, which was 2006. I'll say the second incarnation when Triple H was the leader. That, to me, was the best, because you threw in the New Age Outlaws. This shit was fucking awesome. Which Evolution member got the best rub from being with God? Some may argue Flair in a way. Some may argue Orton. I think it's unquestionably Batista. Batista's the one that beat him at WrestleMania 21 in the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. Batista's the one that beat him the next 2 straight pay-per-views in main event matches. Batista clearly, in the long term, got the better rub from being associated with God. No question. At Slimiath, what did you think of Triple H's feud with Kevin Nash in 2003? Triple H did his job. He got me to hate him more and got me to want Kevin Nash to win more. What was the feud? Was the feud with HBK overdone? If so, when should it have ended? It was overdone. I don't know if there was a particular point in time that they should have necessarily stopped it, per se. But yeah, it went on for way too fucking long. I can't even deny that. But to me, one of the best matches and one of the best pieces of business that either one of them ever did was that build-up and ultimately that match at SummerSlam 2002. Phenomenal shit. Probably when should it have ended? Maybe you could argue at that Survivor Series 2002, maybe at the Rumble, or maybe no later than WrestleMania 19. Perhaps. At Rare Breed RKO 97, if you could replace Orton and Batista in Evolution, who would you replace those two with? Back at that time, he probably could have thrown an Edge in there. And if you're going to bring in somebody from the OVW class, you know, maybe you would have done Lesnar if you were just bringing him up, or you could throw Cena in there. That's the guys that come to mind. At Reels8023, is Evolution up there with some of the other great factions of WWE history? Yes. I really think Evolution is underrated. Think about it. You got more mileage out of Ric Flair from being a part of this group. It helped keep Triple H fresh a little bit, kept him at the top, and you got more out of him because he was a part of this group. Randy Orton became a star because of this group. Dave Batista became a bigger star because of this group. So everybody that was a part of Evolution got better because of Evolution. And it created 2 future main event guys. So bottom line is, it is one of the great factions of WWE history. And a lot of times, frankly, I don't think it gets the credit it deserves for how good of a faction and how productive it ultimately was. At Jonathan J. Laughlin, did Triple H ever give an official reason for cheating on Chyna for Stephanie? Chyna looks like a man. Stephanie, when she got the tits, is fucking hot as shit. Plus, she is Vince McMahon's daughter. What other fucking reason do you need? At Orton G. Armstrong, I'm just saying, man, come on, think about that. Does he need to give a reason? That's the official reason, the one I just gave you. Praise God. At Orton G. Armstrong, should God have dropped the title to RVD at some point in 02-03? That's that whole reign of terror where you could argue you could have dropped it to RVD, could have dropped it to Booker T, could have dropped it to Kane. You could make the argument because RVD was hot as shit at that point in time, but I don't know if I could argue he should have dropped it to RVD more so than this guy or that guy or Nash or that guy, or you get the idea. At Bretlos, if Triple H could make another Evolution-like stable with the current WWE roster, who would that consist of? I think I already kind of alluded to that before. Either Orton, Cena, or Punk as the, you know, the active top guy with Triple H playing the Flair role. And then maybe Sheamus and Sandow would be the 2 guys. Or maybe you would throw in there a Sandow and a freaking Roman Reigns if you want to go there. Or you put an Ambrose and a Reigns in there. Or maybe you do a Reigns and a Rollins. I wouldn't put both Ambrose and Rollins in there. Sorry. One, but not both. You need some type of hired hand muscle enforcer. So that's probably would be what I do. At Candy Look 21 has a couple I'll try to fire through quickly. What was Triple H's best moment in DX? When they made fun of the Nation would be one. Invading WCW would be another. The card game in the ring, that's another. There's a lot of them. It's hard to pick. If Triple H never joined DX, where would his career have gone? You know, I said before in the previous video that he still would have become a star. He wasn't just a star because of DX, but it certainly didn't hurt. I'm sure at some point he would have gotten to the top. How quickly, how it would have happened, I can't really say, but it may have taken longer. What was McMahon and the McMahon-Helmsley era's funniest moment? I'm surprised I didn't get more questions about the McMahon-Helmsley era. Funniest moment? I don't have one. I didn't particularly like the McMahon-Helmsley era all that much. I'm just being honest with you. I thought it was overbearing. My favorite moment was every time I used to see Stephanie and I would think about whacking off and shooting it all over her titties. If I'm being honest with you, Candy Lake 21, I'm just saying. I know she's not usually my flavor, if you get what I'm saying, but she has some big old titties. One more coming up. # Helmsley. Praise God.